How to start a practice in New York. Today I'll be discussing with Dr. Kihlan how he started his successful oncology practice in New York.
Yeah, hi Malke, how are you? Thank you so much first of all. I love your energy, man. It's great to be with you on this stage. So my name is Ratesh Kihlan, and I am a hematology oncology doctor in Brooklyn, New York. I started my practice in 2012. I am from India. I did my medical school from Medical College, Patiala, and then I did my residency and fellowship from SUNY Downstate Medical Center in Brooklyn. And my office is like 5 minutes walk from Downstate Hospital. So that's me.
Awesome. Very glad to have you on the channel. Let's start by asking you about what motivated you to start your own practice. You know, you're an IMG, you came to the States, it's a totally new environment. What made you go into private practice or start your own practice rather than be employed by someone?
Right. I think one of the major motivation was when I finished my residence fellowship. I was working in Downstate. I was an assistant professor of medicine. I was working pretty hard. I had a lot of patients, but the salary, whatever they are paying me was like I was barely making it. I have my friends outside of New York, chilling and having money. And I was like struggling paycheck to paycheck, and I thought like, what is this? I did not become doctor for this. And I went to my chairman at that point, chairman of medicine, a very respected doctor, Dr. Borer. He's a cardiologist, and I asked him. I said, Dr. Borer, will my salary ever increase? He said, Ratesh, even if your salary increase, it will be negligible in pennies. And he actually suggested me, I have to give it to him. He said, Ratesh, you are an excellent physician. You have very good communication skills. You will be very, very successful if you do private practice. And I didn't know anything. It was scary, I'm telling you. But all this, just to make ends meet and living paycheck to paycheck, I get sick one day. I'm like, no. Let's try. Let's give it a shot.
That's awesome, man. Every person has some kind of moment that starts the whole journey for their entrepreneurial work, for their amazing things that they do in life, and that was it for you. So I'm very glad that it got you there. So now that brings me to my next question is, what are the initial steps that you took to start your own practice?
So, I didn't know anything about this, about the practice. I had no idea. Nobody taught me in residency. I didn't know about billing. I didn't know about coding, So my first thing when I started, when I thought that I'm going to do, I'm going to start my own practice. So I had a friend who was a physician who had his own practice. I went to him, and he not only gave me all the help, he also, gave me some space in his office for me to see patients. So one of the most important things he told me to do was I have to be enrolled on insurance panels. I didn't know that. So as a private physician, you cannot see a patient, or you can see patient, but you will not get paid unless you are on a panel of insurances. And there are so many insurances in New York. Every day there's a new HMO comes in, and then you have to submit a credentialing. There will be like 200, 300 pages contract they will send you. You have to sign it. I don't know what I'm signing for. And then once, you send it, it takes 3 to 6 months for them to credential you. And initially, I saw a lot of patients where I didn't get paid at all. But,
wow,
but it took some time, and, I started the process. There was 57 insurances at that point in Brooklyn. And one by one, I got credentialed with all of them. It took time, though. I will say some we did it within like 3 months, and some took actually up to 2 years. We have to fight with them. They were not taking us on the panel.
Other than the insurance, what are the other challenges that you faced when starting your own practice?
Yeah. So when I started, one of the major challenges was to find people to work with you, the staff, the phone, the fax. In that, I think I was lucky that I'm a very technology savvy. So I did not buy big machines. I didn't buy like a $5,000 fax machine or this and that. I use electronic stuff. I use my fax on an email, and most of my appointment I put it online, and Then I shared the staff with that doctor. Actually, I said, listen, whatever staff you have, whatever you're paying them, if I come here 20% of the time, I will pay them 20% salary. So that helped me a lot to keep the cost contained in the beginning. Because if this is one of the most important things where private practitioners fail. They start the practice with lot of overhead. If you do that, I mean, I'm honest with you, we cannot make too much money in medicine anymore. We have to accept that.
Exactly.
Most of the money insurances and hospitals they make. Doctors don't make much money. So if you keep your overhead very high, you cannot survive in this environment. So in the beginning, that was the challenge, to bring the initial investment to buy the computers, pay the staff, because for first 6 months, you don't get any money from the insurance companies because of that credentialing issue. And even if you're credentialed, they take 4 to 6 more weeks to pay you. So we are at the, at the end of the food chain. I'm telling you, very low. We don't understand this part, but we are very low in the food chain in medicine business. So I'm in Brooklyn, New York, the most expensive city, I think, in the world, New York City. So if, on day one, I never even imagined that I will have my own place. So, but I was smart at that point. I said, no, I'm not gonna have my own space. I'm gonna share it with the doctor. It's very important in the beginning of your practice. Do not make your own big space, because that's a big overhead on your head. Now you have a mortgage, you have an electric bill and water bill. Same thing I did. As I shared the staff, I shared the space. So whatever that doctor was paying, so I said, I'm going to use it for 20%. If you are paying $5,000, I will pay you $1,000. And doctor was actually very kind enough. He did not charge me for first 3 months. He said, you're not gonna make any money for first 3 months, no rent. After that, you can start paying.
That's so
I was lucky in that. I was lucky in so many aspects when I started this. Yeah, God was kind to me.
But you did also a lot of right things by sharing the space, sharing the staff. That's a very smart move when you're starting. Another challenge that most people who start their own practice face is the patients. So when you join an already established practice or a big hospital, you have the funnel of patients coming already through that. When you start new, you don't have that. So how were you able to build your patient referral system, and how were people knocking on your door?
Yeah. So I told you I was in Downstate Hospital as an assistant professor. I had my practice. Even when I was working in the hospital, I always worked very hard. I have so many patients in the hospital, like they were following me. I mean, my clinics were so busy that the staff sometimes they take, my clinic was on Tuesday and Wednesday every week. So most of the staff members take off because they know that Kihlan is coming and there's so many patients we have to see with him. And when I came out, most of my patients did come with me. So, but another thing which helped me was the area where I started my practice did not have too much competition. I'm honest. I didn't go to an area where there were like 10, 15 oncologists sitting and I was sitting competing with them. No, my area, we did not have many doctors. Day one, when I started my practice, I saw 24 patients.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that is, great to hear. But for people who are starting out of residency, let's say they're going back to their hometown, where there is not LA or New York competitiveness, but decent. There are people in these specialties around them. What would you recommend to them to start their patient referral system?
Yeah. So this is what they need to do. They cannot have patient base if they don't know primary care doctors. Primary care doctors are the one who send patient to specialists. You guys have to go to primary care doctors. Go talk to them. No ego at that point. Go, they are friends. We are all friends. We should never be egoistic, like I'm a neurosurgeon, I'm a heme doctor, I'm a big cardiologist. No, they are the one who are going to send you patients. You go to them, talk to them. I did that also in the beginning. I went to their offices. I give them my cards. I said, I'm starting this practice. If you have any hematology oncology patient, I will try my best to see them as soon as possible. I will try to send you guys notes back, which is very important for primary care doctors to get the notes of, when they do consult. If we send them note back, that is one of the Medicare requirement. They will lose a lot of money if they don't get those consults back. So when you start that practice, be in touch with the primary care. Not most of the EMRs now give us, that facility where you can send them electronically notes. But always ask once in a while, once a month, make a phone call or just visit there, go to the doctor's office, tell them how they are doing. Are you getting my consultations back? Is there anything I can do to make experience better? So those are all the things I did. And I still personally goes there to their offices, talk to them, ask them, what can we do to improve. So these were the few things I will suggest to the young doctors. Suppose they want to go to a small town, start a practice, go to every primary care doctor in that town. I can guarantee you, not 100%, but say 60-70%, once you visit there, give them your card, will send you patients. Because they also need specialists for their patients, right?
Exactly. Especially, if you train at good places, they are looking for good specialists to refer their patients to. Now that you have a very successful practice, how do you balance the patient care aspect with the business aspect? And do you fully run the business aspect, or there are people who run the business, you run the clinical?
Yeah. So I have a team. So not only I run my practice, I run another company, Brooklyn USC, you know that, right? So I cannot do it alone. So I have a lot of people. I have a big staff now, and we have an office. I own my own office. And that office also I share with other doctors, like I used to share. Now there are doctors who come to my office and we share the cost. That's how it works. So what I do is I see patients only 4 days: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. These are my days when I see patients, and it's busy. If you tell me you want to talk to me on those 4 days, impossible. I cannot. There's so many patients. I have an infusion center. I run an infusion center. We have patients keep coming in and out, in and out. We have like around 100 people coming in and out of our office every day. Yeah. But I took my Friday off. So I stopped going to the hospital. I don't do any inpatient at all. So I just go to hospital to cover weekend. So I go there I think twice a month. And that's also just to keep myself, fresh with the hospital system. And, sometimes I take my students with me to show them how that works. But most of the times I'm in my office. Friday is my administrative day. So I do all my meetings. I do my finances. I look at my bills and, and it's a lot. Like I'm telling you, Friday, although it's free, but it's not free. It's so much work I have to do on Friday. I think I do more work on Friday than I do other days.
People don't understand the amount of paperwork and the small things that you have to do to keep a business running. People get upset. You have to resolve problems. You have to pay bills. You have to, you're the person responsible for everything. So you still manage the business. You're the kind of the head of everything related to the business.
Yeah. So I'm the CEO. Yes, I have a manager. Then I have some other staff. But most of the important things I still do. I take care of all the finances. And one thing I definitely do every day after I'm done with my patients, I go over every fax in my office myself.
Wow.
Every fax I go over because, I'm a doctor and somebody's life is in my hands. And I don't want to, because I have been burned, like I give that duty to somebody. No one can understand that except a doctor. Because I'm an oncologist. When I send prescriptions, there are faxes, they need more information. Insurance keep denying things. And, so if I cannot see my faxes on Monday, then on Tuesday, I tell them, okay, print all the faxes. I will spend a little more time. I go over all the faxes and then I delegate. Okay, you call this. This is not this bill, pay this. This is a prior authorization. Okay, do this. But I go over each and every fax. And I get a lot of faxes, I'm telling you. more than 100. Yeah.
One aspect of private practice that people in academia tell us about is that you are responsible for a lot of things. It's a lot of headache. You won't have time for other things in your life. So how are you able to balance your work, as a clinician, as a businessman, the US clinical rotations you offer, and your family and the other things in your life? Do you have time for your family with all that work?
I think for first 7 years, I did not pay too much attention to that. But I have a daughter. She's 10-year-old now. And in 2020, I think she was 7. And one day she told me, Papa, I don't see you much. I mean, that hit me hard. And COVID was there. People were dying left and right. And I made a decision to stop going to the hospitals. That was the time when I made my schedule 4 days. So that Friday, is mine and my daughter's time. So we do things together. We have a pizza night, and since then I'm spending a lot of time with her also. So we have to make that time for our family, no matter what. Like, I can tell you, if I sit in my office on Friday, I can increase the revenue of my company by 25%. No doubt. My patients, everyone is telling me, but I said no. That's it. There has to be a limit. There has to be a limit.
Exactly. It's a number in the bank after some time, and these years that pass through with your family, you can't get them back.
Exactly. Exactly. Kids
So
grow so quick, and then you don't even know that.
exactly. You mentioned the rotations that you offer, and many of our viewers might not be familiar with that. Can you please tell the viewers a little bit about that endeavor that you started and what kind of prompted you to do that? And I'm sure it's helping a lot of international graduates, learning about the US system.
Yeah. So I'm a good teacher. When I started in Downstate, the residents, although when I started, I was a little nervous. I'm like, I'm from another country. The way I speak, I was like, how they will, and how will they receive the information from me? I was very nervous first time, but somehow I made a connection with the students. I always, try to teach the way I wanted my teacher should have taught me. Always, because it was very difficult for me to understand medicine in the school. It took me like a lot of time actually to understand medicine on my own, and that actually helped me to teach. So I was like, in US, I want to tell all the students that in US, not only teachers evaluate students evaluate teachers here too. So in the evaluations, I got 99 percentile every year in Downstate, 3 year in a row.
Nice.
Yeah. So when I started my practice, there was a part-time job of chief of heme in one of the hospitals. There was a hospital called Kingsbrook Jewish Hospital, a small hospital. It's closed now. So I was chief of heme there. And there was these students used to come from Caribbean universities, AUA, Ross, and St. George's. And they asked me if I want to take some students. I had no space. I had like 2 8x8s, these small rooms. I'm like, I don't have space. They said, okay, take 2, just take 2. So I'm like, okay. So they gave me these 2 students, and now it's busy clinic, and I let them see patients, do things, which like we call this hands-on experience. So I mean, it is right. This is what you. So I was offering them, and then when this was going on, I got a phone call from another other guy. I forget his name. He said, "Can you take 1 student from me?" I had no idea what is this, students, and so they said, "Oh, these students now need this clinical experience," because when I did, we didn't need any clinical experience, nothing. So I'm like, okay, so I call them, and this student come in. A month, spend with me. Like I was doing what I was doing, I'm a good teacher. So I was explaining every patient to him, telling him how this thing work. And then interview season comes in. He said, I'm putting my application. Can you help me? I said, yeah, I mean, all these people know me. So I'm like, I have this guy. Can you give him an interview? They said, sure. And he's like so impressed from me. I'm like, I didn't do anything for you. It is called reference here in US. Like, because you worked so good with me, I could make a phone call for you. So, and based on your work, I don't know you. And after that, like there's so many requests and I have no space. So, but anyways, one time there were 2 students, I still remember, one girl and one boy. One was from Turkey and one was from, I think, India. So we were talking and I was just asking, I said, so explain to me this clinical experience. So they told me this is what is the requirement, and I said, how much you guys pay for it? And okay, let me tell you, I was like shocked. They said they are charging $5,000 a month.
Oh, wow.
So this is what came to my mind. Like I came from a very poor family. Like even when I came to this country in 2002, I don't think I have much money. And I was just thinking, if I have to do this, if go back to 2002 and I have to do this, there is no way I can have done this thing. And I spoke to a few of my friends, doctors. I'm like, you know what? This is the new generation of doctors we are creating. And this is what we had gone through. We need to help. And to my surprise, every doctor I made phone call, they said, let's do it. Let's lower the cost. So Brooklyn, USC was born. 2015.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And, thank you for helping people learn about the system in a very reasonable price. People have to understand that this price that you take, or, other physicians take, is minute compared to what they can be making. If you use that time to write the letter and stuff to make, clinical money, you would be making way more. So you're really sacrificing your time and money to help these people. So on behalf of all the people that you have, I really thank you for that.
One
Now,
thing I want to add here for the students, they always talk about this money and this and that, and they don't understand the effort these people put. Sometimes some of the student, I have a very good student, she's doing residency and she's helping student with editing their PS. And people are like, how can you sleep after? I'm like, listen. And I called her, don't get worried about it. This is your time, and time is very important for all of us. Okay. And if you are providing a service on a nominal price, it's okay. Keep doing that. There will be people saying these negative things. Don't listen to it. Just do the fantastic job you're doing.
exactly, exactly. And that's honestly what have been our policy at the Match Guy, to provide the premium service, because I don't want to provide something that is not good to just make it cheap, to provide the great service, because these are residents and faculty and fellows taking their time from their 80-hour week to spend it with you rather than with your family. So they need to get something in return to all this hard work that they're doing for you. So I 100% agree with you to make things, but we try to make it as affordable as possible to keep the good quality. We don't want to also charge crazy prices, but also provide the premium quality that IMGs need. I don't want to, because you're an IMG, I'm providing you lower quality service just to decrease the price. Now, looking back, would there be anything that you would do differently? Looking at all the experience you accumulated, building this successful practice that you have.
Um, I think God was very kind to me. I think He gave me much more than what I expected for myself. That part, I think I'm very lucky. I think I achieved a lot. But again, there are things which I can go back and see. One of the things I did was when I was, when practice was expanding, and I said, listen, I need more space, and I did some construction. So the decisions I made during that time, just because I didn't know and I did not have time, I did not make some of those decisions by doing thorough investigation. Like I didn't know about zoning. I didn't know about the real estate market in Brooklyn. I bought things like, okay, I want this. How much? Here you go. So I think I should have I should have done a little bit more, little bit more work on that. But again, at the end of the day, it worked out. So it worked out. We have a very successful cancer center in the heart of Brooklyn, and we are sitting there, and very busy. And our students, they love to work there with the patients, and we are providing such a good service both to patients and to the students. So overall, I think whatever decisions I had made, they did pay off. But some of them where I did not do too much investigation in it, maybe I would have a little bit more organized.
But
So I think that's the only thing I will add.
sometimes things happen for a reason. My final question is, what is the future of your practice? Where do you see yourself going in the next 5, 10 years? That's the question you get as an interview. Now, where do you see your practice going?
Yeah. So I have one dream, and I was actually working towards that dream, but then COVID came, and I got a little lazy at that point. So I want to start a healthcare system in Brooklyn, which will be physician based, physician owned, and physician controlled, not hospital controlled or insurance controlled. So we are planning to buy 10 practices in Brooklyn. Brooklyn doctors are getting older. Everyone wants to retire. I want, and again, any doctor who's primary care want to work in Brooklyn and want to join me in this vision, they can contact me. So 10 practices, and we're gonna do these practices around Brooklyn, and we're going to make a central hub for all the specialty services, whether it's a GI, whether it's cardiology, whether it's radiology, and everything over there, including the real estate, doctors will own that. And we will not only see patients, we're going to own our own radiology centers, we're going to own our own lab, we can have our own surgical suite. So in the surgical center, not only we're going to do endoscopies or colonoscopies, but urological procedure, plastic surgery procedure. We can do breast cancer surgery now in the surgical center. So, all these things we're going to do, and I want doctors to be in charge of that. I want doctors to be the CFOs of that, to help me with, making these things better. Because if you look at the data, most of the good hospitals, the CEOs are doctors. Look at Mayo Clinic, look at Cleveland Clinic, all the successful hospitals, the CEOs are the doctors. So that's the future, next 5 years. So we are, starting this Brooklyn Health Initiative. And we are actually planning to open most of the offices in underserved areas, because that's where the need is, and that's where competition is also low, And a lot of my students who are interested to work in it, they are on visas. And these are the pockets where I can actually sponsor J1 visa to them. Waivers actually for J1 visa. But I'm looking for only primary care now for next 5 years. And once we have this robust primary care presence, then we're going to hire our own specialist, cardiologists, GI doctors. And then, I want, so the idea behind it is, right now, if you work with a hospital pay you 10 to 20% of your revenue. So I think that's too little. But again, we doctors, if they think they're going to make 100%, no, there's a lot of cost. I think 50% cost. I think if we can pay them 40 to 50%, I think that's more than enough. So an average doctor, which is making like 250 now, I think should make like 500 to 600,000 to start with.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kihlan, for taking the time and sharing with us these extremely valuable insights. For our viewers, if you find any value in this video, I would really appreciate it if you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell sign so you get notified whenever I post future videos like this one on my YouTube channel. And before you leave, make sure to watch the special video I recorded with Dr. Satterwhite on how he started his practice in San Francisco. Thank you everyone so much for watching, and see you in the next video.